Hallelujah.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. 3, 2, 1. I guess it. Yeah.
We're live.
Hey, we need some intro music, and I had some E40. Facts, not fiction. You know what I mean? But I decided not to play it. That way, you don't have to do the note.
Right.
You don't own the rights to this and all that old stuff. But well, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? For those of you who are with us now, or those who will be watching later, if any, welcome. Thanks for taking time out to hang out with us.
Yes.
Begin how we always begin, by me just saying, Bishop, I appreciate you, brother. I mean, I say it all the time because it's true.
Amen.
I appreciate the opportunity to be in a space with you, bro, and sharing the mic with you, and getting a chance to talk about issues, stuff that I think it's fair to say we believe matter to Black people in general. I think it's also fair to say that we're not a monolith. All Black people don't believe anything.
Right. That's what I was telling somebody yesterday. We're not monolith. We got Republicans and Democrats, conservative. Some people are going to support Tasha. Some going to support Todd Gloria, whatever, And
you know what?
We are.
and we, as everybody else, learn by seeing, hey, maybe we should have done something different. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly.
But it's good to be able to share the bike with you, man. I just, I always think about, 6 years ago or so in Philadelphia, getting it. I never forget. I walked in the room and,
some years ago.
Biggest pastor I ever seen in my life was like, "What's up, little homie?
I'm trying to lose now."
You like, hey man, you gonna get them bathrooms clean? I was like, man, am I? Brother's trying to fuck me right now, but I went on ahead and cleaned them.
Terry Crews, who turned this.
Yeah. So I just said, well, the brother's huge. Let me go on and clean these bathrooms. Then I found out you was a gentle soul, man. Tons of discipline, man. And just so it's good. I appreciate you, man. Got a lot of love for you, for Miss Carol, your wife, and for your kids, man.
Likewise.
For the legacy that you're leaving, bro. So much grace and much peace to you, bro.
Yeah, likewise to you too, man. Love you and appreciate everything you're doing. Appreciate your boldness and the way you take your stand. I'm not as bold, but
yeah, right. Stop it.
I admire. I look at this and say, "Whoa, look at my bro, man.
You are
going in on it.
Trust
me. Go in on it." So appreciate that, man. Wow. Really appreciate it. And anybody can hang and be a friend of mine. And what crazy as I get sometimes, it's a friend indeed.
Yeah.
So hey, appreciate you.
Well, wherever you are, I am. Yeah. Whatever you're doing, as much as I can. One of the things I'm trying to learn now is how to pace myself. I got a lot going on. And, some days I just want to be on the couch watching Last Chance U.
Exactly.
Or All American. I just like to watch my documentaries.
There you go.
So I got to learn to say no to a lot of things. But the things that you're involved with, I believe, are. And one last thing, and I just say this publicly. It's weird. I was going to call you the other day and say, one of the things that I lack is mentorship. I don't really I used to have mentors in the fire department and stuff. I've had mentors throughout my life, more as a youngster, but there's a lot of things that I wonder about nowadays. I'm thinking about direction I want to go. And I was thinking, man, who do I know that that I could trust, that I know would really ask God for things on my behalf, that would really give me sound advice. I believe in the multitude of counsel. There's safety.
Yeah, that's it.
And so I believe we need to do that. And I said, man, I need to call Bishop. I was inquiring and say, man, I want to talk with you, at least if nothing else. We do everything on Sunday, but I'm talking about maybe on a Monday or one day during the week, just to get a few minutes to chat about, I'm thinking about this. What do you think? And if you run some stuff by you, whatever, and just pray about whatever you got going on. And just because I need that other side. You're very programmatic in the way you do things. You've taken things that you're doing and you know how to create systems around what you're doing. And that's something I lack. I got a visionary heart, I can see things, but I don't know.
I couldn't tell. Man, boy, you got it going. No, but you'll speak up next, it's happening.
Man, So I need that. So I just asked you publicly. If you turn me down publicly, then We'll let the people deal with you.
You got me.
Yes.
Wait, we got each other.
Bishop Bowser, that's one of my mentors. I'm in the game, ladies and gentlemen.
I remember one time we was talking. This was the early part of this year, or last year, when it was. I wasn't down, but I was, talking to you, about the church and things like that, and what we go through and dealing with, especially when you're really trying to build and grow and stuff. And you really said some powerful things to me that still ring today. Wow. I was like, wow, thank you, man. Praise God. But sometimes we lose our perspective on things, get so caught up.
Absolutely. Else, And that's what we want to talk about first. I just want to, I try to have a shirt every week. I said to myself, I'm going to wear this. Like,
I still don't have one.
I only got two.
Oh,
we don't have a whole bunch. Yeah, okay. These were made. It's union made. It was made by Manny Gonzalez, and I think it's Frontline. Yeah, I got to think of the name of his printing company. I can't remember, but it's a union print shop that's in Chula Vista. My guy's he's phenomenal. So, but I want to wear this on a regular basis because it's something that I really believe in. But so homework is, we believe when a person comes home from incarceration that they want to work and that they need to work. But we also believe that before you work, you need to do some homework. Exactly. And so if you notice in homework, the me is bigger than the work. Why is that? Because I'm more important than what I'm doing. Exactly. And so we want to focus on the individual, growing individually, and before an individual has an opportunity to ruin a good opportunity in the building trade. So we've connected with the building trades, Tom Lemon, Carol Kim, some of the other, and there's 22 different trades in San Diego that are part of the San Diego Building and County Building and Construction Trades Council. They represent over 35,000 people. And so that's something that we're doing. So just shout out to everybody that's involved. Yeah. My boy Manny, my boy Big Ed. And Second Call, we do so every fourth Wednesday from 6 to 8, we have a dinner where we bring building trades together with formerly incarcerated men and women. By the way, if you don't have a felony, you are not welcome. So we're turning the tables around. Usually it's the other way around. So we say we cater a dinner. And we provide a home cooked meal or like a home style catered dinner. We sit around and talk about the building trades and help formerly incarcerated men and women get connected. Then once every week on Friday nights from 6 to 8 at St. Stephen's Cathedral Church, we have a life skills class on the second floor in the library. Wow. We just get together and talk about life. We talk about self-esteem, anger management, how to set goals, just all kinds of stuff like that. Because like I said, we don't want somebody to get a good opportunity, hand it to them, and then they trick it off and end up doing something they shouldn't do. So that's homework. Shout out to homework and everybody that's a part of it. Really thank God for the people that have rallied around. Some good things coming. So that's what the shirt. But let's roll right into. Amen. You just said a second ago, hey, what's up, Tom? Tom Cardenas said, looking good, Birdie. I don't want to admit this publicly, but that was my nickname since I was a kid. So what's up, Tom? Thanks a lot, man. That's my cousin. We grew up together. That's a trip. Wow. Never forget Christmases and eating peanut brittle. Is unbelievable. So I can't even tell you the funny things his mother used to say, because it used to say to me, but I got bit in the eye by a dog and I had to get skin taken off my butt. Oh, is that right? Put on my eye. The dog almost bit my eye out. Whoa. And so his mother used to say funny things about me, but rest in peace, Auntie Putz. That's my lady. Wow. So anyway, you brought up something a second ago that I think is important. Let's just lead off with this. You talked about going through things at church. And this week, a pastor committed suicide. He left a family, wife, some children. I'm not 100% sure what the facts or details are regarding why he did what he did, but we just know that he did what he did. Yep. And I don't know that the why necessarily is more important than the what or that. Exactly. But what is your view? You are an active pastor. You've been in full-time ministry for quite some time. Shout out to Charity Apostolic Church that meets on Shabbat, on the Sabbath, from 10:30 till about 12-ish. 11:30 to 1:30 at Memorial Park Recreation Center. And so 11:30 to 1:30 for how long? Since 2002. So being a pastor is very easy.
Like they say, who said pimping ain't easy?
Oh yeah, but hey, we keep 10 toes to the turf on the bishop and I. We use euphemisms and idioms that the people can understand.
Yeah.
But I think there's this notion. I think a lot of the preachers that we see on TV, unfortunately, make being a pastor easy, fun, kind of the thing to do. And I believe a lot of that is a lie.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to know, and I pastored before, never full time. I've always pastored in a bivocational capacity, but you are a full-time, you are in ministry full-time. You shared something on social media this week regarding experiences that you had.
Oh yeah.
And I think it's important to, can you kind of expound a little bit on what you talked about? Because I don't think people realize what it takes to be a pastor. What's up, April? What it takes to be a pastor and what that means. Tosh, let me say what's up to Tasha and Ramo Abdi. How you doing? I don't know if you guys are still on there now, but hello everybody. Tammy, Candace, that Delta Sigma Theta sorority incorporated, started in 1913 at the Howard University, the real HU. I don't care if the Hampton Institute won that football game. Howard is still the real HU. Aramik, how you doing? And everybody who's joined. Kay Taylor, district supervisor, county district supervisor, going for the 2nd county district. It's about time. Trust Black women. Don't just say it, do it. Put your money and your voice behind Ms. Taylor that's running for our county board of supervisors. So hello to everybody who might still be with us. But what was it like being a pastor, man?
Being or is
rather. Talk kind of about what you shared about the other day, because I think that's important.
Yeah, I think there's layers of issues that pastors deal with, from the perspective of what keeping on a public persona of way things should be, from the perspective of having someone to talk to, when you have issues. And I'm not just talking about, we have a lot of pastors out there, but many times these pastors are just as crooked as anybody else. So like if I want to confess a sin and I need somebody to talk to and hold me accountable, to confess my sin, of course I have a bishop, I have people, but like locally here, if I want to call and talk to somebody, I really don't have someone because they'll go and tell, right? And I know that because
say it again for people in the back.
They'll go and tell what you tell them, and then stuff spreads. And I remember something came back to me about something that I did. I sinned. I confessed. I talked to pastors, need somebody to talk to, and this like happened years ago, but it came back like it was fresh and it was new. And I talked to some people and found out some of the stuff where it was coming from, and coming from a pastor, right? And so it that kind of bothers you because now, okay, do I really have somebody I can talk to that I can trust, that will not talk about me, not look down on me, but really see me as a man, a person who has struggles too, and help build me up. You don't have a lot of that too much now, where you could do this. A lot of times people hold stuff in. And then on top of that, you're dealing with the pressures of what people deal with in the world. The churches many times today is not what it should be. It becomes like a business. It becomes like a success story. It becomes this thing to where that, or I'm the pastor of. And so because most people, they did a survey on this, a big survey on the mega churches, and the people that they talked to in these churches, they said they joined the church for influence of that church, the influence that the church had,
popularity,
because of that pastor,
popularity,
or because of the worship style, right? And so those are the 3 top reasons why people said that they go to a certain church. So most time, when folks are trying to build churches, they build it based on a platform that they want to be somebody, want to build and grow a church. And so like when you have, if you have a small church, and it comes back to me all the time. See, I don't talk about a lot of stuff, but I know a lot of stuff, and people don't really realize that I do know a lot of stuff. And then when I hear people talking, I was like, I know where you got that from. But they talk about you. If you're a small church, these small churches, they need to just close down and go somewhere, go join it with somebody else or something, or don't pay me. I'm like, you think that about me? Evidently you haven't been to my church, Yeah, we're a small church, but we have people from all over. We have different races, Black, white, Asian, Latinos go to our church. You know what I mean? I probably have there have been some points in our church where we had just as many white people as Black people. You know what I mean? So you deal with those pressures, of trying to if you lose your focus, but trying to be ambitious, and building something, to want to gain that respect. There was a sister I was talking to once that really, she don't realize she encouraged me, but she did. And one thing she said to me, because I'm not going to mention the church she went to, but she's going to a pretty large church. And I was telling her, I was like, wow, I said, if I had that platform that pastor had, we'd be doing some awesome things in this city. And I said, well, I'll be trying to do some awesome things in the city with that kind of platform. And she said, well, that church can't even compare to you, because you may be a small church, but you're doing way more than what they're doing.
It's funny.
See, that encouraged me, like, oh, okay.
Bro, that's exactly what I was thinking about when you were just saying that. I was thinking, you may not have numbers, but your influence is insane. Like you have a ton of influence in the city. And I don't think people even realize what that means for you to have what you're everywhere. And so the funny thing is that a lot of these big churches, and people don't realize, that's why a lot of this stuff is smoke and mirrors, right? These big churches are struggling, and some of these big churches have to change what they actually started off believing in to adopt a philosophy to keep the doors open. Yeah,
and that's sad when you have to do that, And as a pastor, I've been through all the different types of things that you can go through as a pastor. As far as buildings, we've been in nice church buildings. We've been in our house, had service there for 2 years. Schools, rec centers, all over the city. Our churches, we've been there. One of the things that really kind of got me one time was I was talking with another brother who was a pastor. He started out after me and stuff. And we was talking, and he was like, I thought you closed now. I'm like, how would make you want to think that? At first I got upset. I didn't let him know I got upset, but when I left, it really bothered me. And so, a lot of times when you're trying to do God's work, and you just want to be respected, for who you are. Not, you don't have to. I'm not trying to be nobody else but me, But if you can respect me for that, but a lot of times you don't get that respect just for who you are, because people are looking at the size of your building or the size of your membership, or what kind of money or power you have with your money and so on. People still kind of frame the power of the church like they did in the dark ages and coming out of the dark ages, right? The symbol of the church's power was its buildings. And that's where it's kind of is today. Now there's a movement, because there's some books that's written, people's eyes have been open a little bit, but there's a movement now to where people are going back into the homes, right? And they're like, man, forget all that, this building paganism and stuff and things like that. So some people are waking up and moving to that, because one thing I always talk about, share with the church, is that it's going to come a time to where that we're going to go back into hiding. We're going to be persecuted. That's one thing I'm trying to talk about the cameras, because at the end of the day, ultimately, the folks in this world who everybody's going to be coming up against are believers in Christ. And that's going to be open. Everybody's going to band together and come against those. But when you're dealing with the overwhelming issues of finances, trying to be diligent in building a church, trying to hold your family together, all the things that everybody else go through. But I think, like, when you talk about it from a spiritual perspective of the pastor, being spiritually attacked, then you start dealing with depression, I should say. You start dealing with discouragement and those type of things. And a lot of times it's hard to talk to people. Sometimes you just got to take the risk. Like, that's what I do. Sometimes I just take the risk and like, hey, can we talk?
Well, here's where I am. And I'll say this. I'll say this, you know, I commit to you that I know God has always given me favor over the years for some odd reason. I've always gotten favor with pastors, and I've had an opportunity to have pastors be able to unload the truth about where they are in their lives and talk about the real stuff. Like, let's not sugarcoat and play the funny stuff. Let's tell me because and it's interesting because a lot of that I got not from the church. I didn't learn about honesty from the church. I learned about honesty from Alcoholics Anonymous. Wow. And I've been sober for 33 years. I got sober when I was a youngster, and
going to the group
meetings. Absolutely. And I learned about honesty there. And so I came to the church and I'm like,
what's going on? We ain't been honest.
Who is y'all? Like, y'all lying about stuff? This is crazy.
And especially when you think, when like we talking, when you think about thoughts of suicide or anything like that, at least a couple times with me. And, you know, you really kind of keep that to yourself. But it's from another perspective of it, at least with me, is that because before I had those episodes, when somebody committed suicide, I said, how in the world could somebody do that? You know what I mean? But then when I said I can relate, I understand, I know exactly why you feel the way you feel. I didn't go to that next step, but I know the feeling, I know the thoughts, and I know like if your thoughts are not like, see, with me, what kind of helped me back is that my beliefs, people have different beliefs about suicide, but my belief is that if you commit suicide, you kill yourself, you're going to hell. So that's my belief. So my thing is like, well, nah, Lord, if I can just go to sleep and die and go to sleep in the glory, I'll do it. I'm tired of this life. You know, I have nothing else to live where I didn't, want to wake up the next day or even go to bed that night because of the nightmares and the bad dreams I would have and have to wake up 2 hours later and then couldn't sleep for the rest of the night. So I would hate to have to go to bed. I would hate having to live through the day and so on, and really, not really knowing, who you can really turn to talk to and help. Sometimes I turn to the Lord in prayer and in trust and really, I think the thing that really helped me is letting go of things, letting go of a lot of stuff and trusting in God, saying that God is competent. He's well able to handle this, but I got to trust him and know that he will handle it. And that regardless of what people are saying or thinking about me or whatever else, it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters right now is me trusting in God, living for God, and moving on with my life.
And it's super happy that you came to that realization. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day. We were meeting him, and he's a pastor. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about how a lot of the expectations. Mm-hmm. And a lot of encouraging him to, hey, and I just asked him point blank, what are some hard things that you've been through in your life? And he shared, and he told me some things he went through. Yeah. And I was like, why don't you speak from that perspective? Why don't you? Because I think a lot of times pastors get up there with this fake face and try to act like nothing's wrong.
And that's hard too.
And then they speak to the people as if they're already fixed. We believe this fake it till you make it. And I think that's what's happened when we elevate the gift of the pastor, like somehow you're the most important person in the church. And it's like, that's not true. Yeah, like God doesn't even support that ideology. Exactly. Like the most important person is the one who we bestow the least amount of honor on. So that's right. I mean, biblically speaking, if you're going to look from a principle perspective, if anybody's going to have a parking space in the church, it should be the janitor or somebody who has a job that who takes the trash out. That's right. That person should sit up front. But
I think was it Kirk Franklin? He was going through something and he went to, what's that guy's name? Pastor Tony something. Can't remember his last name.
I don't know.
But I think he has a mega church, but he went to Pastor, whatever Tony's last name was. He went to he said he started going to his church and he said that, most time Kirk said wherever he went, he had a parking space. And this pastor, they didn't do that. And so when they say everybody's saying here, but you get no special treatment.
I mean, but what I think, and here's what happens. Here's what happens when you're, and just for those of you who are tuning in, we're talking about mental health.
Tony Evans, I think it was. Yeah.
Tony Evans could be mental health in the church, and about the pastor that just committed suicide. And I wanted to just follow up on the thing that you was talking about. That part of what happens when the members of the church that you oversee, that we got to get out of this habit of saying your church, because it ain't your church. It's God's church. The people that you've been charged to oversee, if they elevate you to a position, that is also another form of pressure that you have to feel, because these people say, our pastor, nah, this is God's man and God's servant.
And you want to appear to be strong, you know what I mean? I remember one time, there was time I was preaching. I was going through a lot of stuff, and I'm looking at the audience, and I was getting to preaching. In my mind, it was like, I just wanted to close the book and say, I can't do this, y'all. I'm done.
See,
you know?
but here's where I think, and this is why I think it's important. What does the scripture say about weakness for us? When is God strong?
Yeah.
When we're weak.
Yeah, exactly.
But we don't want to talk about that. He said, when I'm weak, then you're strong. So, and there's a difference. Weakness, I think and I've been thinking about this week too, how there's this whole notion of weakness in our communities in general, in the Black community. There have been a lot of things that have been taboo over the years.
Right.
Like suicide is one of the things that, Black people don't kill themselves, and Black, whatever we say. And so because we haven't been prepared to deal with this stuff, we look at strength a different way, right? We feel like strength is, I'm willing to do whatever and go to prison. And it's like, we look at like everything that we do that is about showing strength sometimes has a violent tendency connected to it to a degree where we don't necessarily see strength in the opportunity to organize around something and change it. Like real strength that I love is like the Black Panthers.
Right.
That's real strength. When you realize power, and power says we need to organize and come against this system and change the system. That's real power. And now I think there's a segment of our society in the Black community that believes that that power only comes in the sense of muscles, and that we sort of ignore the geniuses and a lot of the genius that we have. And we don't necessarily ignore it as much as we're so caught up in to the news and how the news promotes things, and then we end up just going along with it. And that's kind of the same thing I think that happens with pastors. The pastors in the Black church have this, you're the backbone of the Black community. But the truth is, people need to see that, it's okay not to be okay.
Exactly.
I mean, it's all right for you not to be okay. And so I just say,
that's one thing I preach about Bishop Reed, who he passed away, but he's one of my bishops. He used to mentor me as a pastor. And I, sometimes we'll call him and say, how you doing, Bishop? Not too good today.
Yeah. Hey, man.
He was straight out.
Keep it real.
And he almost, one time he said he was going to, I shared at church a couple times, he was going to commit suicide. He was like, that's what he said, lived up in a condo somewhere, and there was a balcony. He was sitting, wherever he's sitting or standing, he looked and saw the balcony. He said, man, I ought to jump and kill myself. And so he walked to the balcony, but then when he looked down and saw how high it was, he said, you got to be crazy.
Yeah. I mean,
but you have those moments where and then some people actually carry it out, you know what I mean, like the pastor did, that's unfortunate, especially when you're dealing with depression. Depression is something else, man, and most people go through it. One of the persons that I think is a good person can teach on that depression and what people go through and things like that is Brother King with Harmonious Solutions, Kahalafa.
Oh, I don't know that.
You don't know Kahalafa? Yeah, Kahalafa. He was with Harmonious Solutions. And he did a good presentation on depression and how it impacts America. And a lot of people are going through that, and some of the things that you can do to get the help that you need and so on. But I think, one of the important things is that when we're dealing with these kind of things, we do need people to talk to. In psychology, one of the things they say is that the most healthiest people are the people that talk about their problems. Right?
Absolutely.
And so we what we've done, especially in Vancouver, we got to always appear to be strong. And even like you said, when I'm weak and when I'm broke down, tore down, I still got to appear to be this other person, and other people got to see me as that. And if they ever see me, my weak side, then that's a shame on me. That's a shame. And sometimes it becomes unbearable hard for people to live with that, right? Because I'm ashamed now, I'm disgusting now, and now people ain't going to respect me no more as this strong person. They're going to see me as this person over here, and that's not the way I want to be viewed. But the whole package coming when you want to be real about yourself, and when you want you care. I mean, I can say I don't care what people think. I do care what people think about me, but I'm not going to let what people think about me affect me to the degree to where that it tears me down, wear me down. I got to move it. Well, If I can change your view, I want to do that. But if that's the way you think and I can't, if there's nothing I can do about it, then I got to move on, because I can't let anybody or anyone or anything get to me so much to where that tears me down, to where that I can't sleep at night, where that I can't eat. I mean, I one time was so depressed, man, to where that I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep. Throughout the day, I was all messed up. I lost all kind of weight and so on. It really takes a toll. And then people are like, what's wrong with you? You can't say nothing like what's wrong with you, because of the way what they think about you when you say that.
I wanted to I wish that I could find this wish I could find the verse in here where David talked about when he held his sin in, and I believe it's like Psalm 28 or something, I don't remember, but
Psalm 32.
Psalm 32, where he talked
verse
about
1 through 5. Yeah.
Let me see. And one of the things I posted this week on my social media, when I found out about the pastor that committed suicide, one of the things
that's a good psalm to talk about that, because what sin does to us when we really don't want to talk about our issues.
Well, here's what and then we'll move on.
And confess.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I just wanted to do two things. I'll read a couple of things that I posted this week, and then kind of a charge maybe to pastors or somebody. What's up, Manny? Donald, what's going on? Eric, what's up, Eric? How you guys doing? If you're still here, not sure. Manny is cold brother, man, helping out with homework, man. Good brother. There's some things coming down the pipe.
I know you can't hold yourself.
It's a trip. I trip out, man. When God does things. But I just wanted to say, man, I posted two things this week that I think is important. And it says, dear Christian family, please be the kind of believers that a pastor can confide in.
Amen.
No more pastoral suicide and no secrets.
Right.
I don't keep no secrets. And then I said, if you are a pastor, please be open about your sin, past or present. If you do, one, the devil can't use it against you negatively, and two, people will feel empowered. And I think it's important for if pastors learn to confess the things that they struggle with. I think there's wisdom. Mm-hmm. There's wisdom in learning how to share. Mm-hmm. I think it's important to share that you go through things, not necessarily. You don't always have to talk about what it is, because we know that can get you. But I think it's not so much because we don't want people to know what we do, but because of what it might do to someone. But I think so often we feel like if I share this with somebody, it's going to mess them up.
I remember one time I confessed to my bishop about something. I said, okay, now to go tell everybody else, church, wife, everybody else. He said, no, don't do that. Too many people will get hurt. And I'm like, first I obeyed it, but then I just couldn't help it. And I opened up. Tell everyone. Well, and I saw a lot of people get messed up, and so I was like, okay.
I think there's a difference, though, and I think we have to learn to shepherd people through things. Like, I think it's important for the church to know that you and people will be able to tell by the way that you talk. Yeah, I think if you see a lot of pastors who are angry or who are really against a particular thing or whatever, it's because a lot of times they're struggling with it. Yeah, I don't know if this is true or not, but they talked about the person who was doing the shock therapy for the LGBTQ community, that doing the shock.
I saw headlines.
Allegedly,
the story.
This person came out as it being gay.
And that's what he was.
Come on, man. He was hooked. So it's like, come on, man.
He probably really did want to see change.
Come on, in himself. Yeah. And so my thing is like, man, I just want to say, man, to not, and to you, just as a full-time pastor, like, I don't look to you as God. Yeah, I know that you struggle with stuff. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but I mean,
I'm human.
If you know what
we're
I mean?
all human.
And if you told me, all right, I don't have no struggles, I will give you a couple opportunities to come clean, right?
I know you.
And then I will stop talking to you. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, come on, brother.
Absolutely.
But I think we have to put our cards on the table. Yeah. So I just want to encourage you by saying, man, I'm with you, brother.
Amen. Thank you.
Your life is it matters to me, matters to a lot of people.
Amen.
And you don't have to hold in the things that you got going on. I'll be an ear, and you'll see I'll be sharing things with you throughout the coming years or whatever, man, because I need to get some things off my chest. I need direction. I just need a place to confess. And so but you You got a ear of somebody that will not, and you'll see by some of the stuff I'll share with you. If you, hey, I'm the type where I'm gonna put something on the table so that you can.
Exactly.
I never forget. I never forget. One of my bosses brought me into the office, the top boss, and the profession I'm in, and he said, "The stuff I'm gonna talk about, we're gonna talk about." He said, "Close the door." I closed the door, and he said, "I just want you to know the stuff we talk about. If I get fired, you getting fired too." You know what I'm saying? And so my thing is, man, you can share about what's going on with you, and I'm gonna show you because I'm gonna give you some stuff that I struggle with, so that if I ruin you, you can ruin me.
Exactly.
You know, and that's what it's.
We're making ourselves both.
Come on, man.
Yeah,
come on, man.
Yeah,
I care so much about you, brother. I care so much about you, man. And
likewise.
And I want you to feel free.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean. And so let me just read what Tasha says. Madam Mayor says.
All right, Madam Mayor.
You know what I'm saying? Church is a hospital. People go there to be healed, to seek refuge, and so much more. My issue is that some pastors are treated like gods. They are praised. I appreciate pastors who know, pastors who know, and their actions show their fear of God's judgment if they mislead God's children. Amen. No, that's good. Absolutely.
It's hard to live with yourself if you're really trying to be saved and do the right thing, you know, because we're not perfect and we mess up or sin or whatever and have other struggles and things that sometimes we just do things that we're like, man, that was like out of pocket. That was wrong. And you know, you want to be able to come clean and be able to acknowledge, like, you know, I didn't do right.
So here's an example of something Tasha also said. This is powerful. Thank you, sis. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Love you. About 28 years ago, man, I don't know, whatever it was. But I used to do it, man. My personality is so addictive. I'm serious, brother. I mean, man. So I used to smoke cigarettes, chew tobacco at the same time. I mean, I would have never known, man. I used to do everything, bro. And
let's do this,
bro. So I quit by the grace of God. The Lord delivered me. I remember telling the Lord before I became a pastor, before I got ordained, I said, God, please deliver me from pornography, just from lust, period. I remember I was in Costco and I saw a woman and I was getting ready to look again. And God spoke to me and it wasn't, hello, son. When you hear from God, you know, because it's something that agrees with agrees with truth, right? A lot of times God speaks to you just in confirming. Anyway, so I heard, if you don't look, you won't lust. So I said, I can't look. All right, I won't look no more. So I remember just from then on, I started looking women in their eyes, and I wouldn't look at. And I did like Job said, I made a covenant with my eyes, right? That I would not look upon another woman with lust. And I said, man, I need to walk straight. And I told the Lord, God, please deliver me from smoking cigarettes and doing all these things, because I believe that there's going to be people in heaven that haven't been delivered from smoking cigarettes yet. Right. Ain't nobody going to be perfect. There's going to be some people in there that got cigarette burns, people that are struggling with different sins.
We got issues. We struggle. I mean, we should get delivered from things, but I believe that, like, the way I see it is as we live for God, and you overcome something, God starts showing you other things in your life.
God there's no question about it. God took the taste out of my mouth. For the first time in my life, I was smoke-free, tobacco-free. I was, by the grace of God, lust-free. I didn't watch pornography. Nothing. I mean, it was like a clean time of my life. I still struggle with maybe anger or just something, but I mean, I wasn't cussing. I mean, just a lot of things was going well. And about 5 years ago, and this was, I go to Texas, and, you know, I'm kind of a cowboy at heart. My brother lives in Texas. And so I was in Texas, and I would, he'd leave a little can of chew on the counter. So I took a little hit, and it made me like dizzy. I was like, oh, I'm good. I spit it out. Like, I don't want
tobacco?
This. Yeah. I don't want it no more. And so 20 years went by, man, and I hadn't done anything. And then I was at the fire station about 6 years ago, and one of my firefighters was chewing, and I said, man, let me see that chew. And I was at a moment of weakness. I wasn't thinking. And I took a hit, and all of a sudden the addiction came back, brother. And I picked up where I left off from before. 2 cans, 3 cans a day, just fully addicted, brother. I'd be in the bathroom hiding from my wife and my kids because I was so ashamed. But one of the things, thank God, I believe in my family. I believe we got to be honest with each other. And so I brought the tobacco out and I set it on the counter. And I told my wife and my kids, I said, hey, I need to confess something to y'all. Like I've been, I'm back on this tobacco and I'm addicted and I'm ashamed. And, but I want you to know, like, I want to model to you that we don't keep secrets from each other as a family. We don't do that.
Right.
And so I want to be honest with you. And I'll never forget, my daughter picked the can up. She looked at it. She said, this stuff causes cancer. I go, yeah. She said, man, this is stupid. I'll never forget. And I was like, you're right. But I had to confess that. I had to be honest. And it was like, I needed to live out loud. And like, and so, and I believe that when we tell on ourselves, we cut the power of whatever is holding us back. Yeah. We cut it in half. And so I just wanted to share other things, man, that I've struggled with over time. It was like just the lust bug. In Greek, I was literally doing a Bible study and something pornographic came up and something happened in my brain. And it was like, I've been fighting these urges since then. And it's like, I can't, and it's like, what happened? What? And so I just want to encourage folks that, there's going to be times where you'll go through things. If you're a pastor, if you're a leader, you need to get rid of the ideology that says that you have to be perfect in order for you to be able to be used. God has been perfectly able to hit a straight lick with a crooked stick. Yeah. There's no question about it. And even the Apostle Paul said, because he preached something that the Jews would have received as, that means we can just keep sinning in. God is going to protect us. No. And the Apostle Paul said, God forbid. How can we should not continue to sin that grace may abound. And the scripture says, how do we who have God's spirit in us continue in a life of sin? So my thing is that the difference between me now and before is now there's a struggle. Now there's a guilt and a shame and the Lord, what am I doing? I can't believe I'm thinking like this. And so there's conviction and I'm working, but I'm still struggling. So I want to encourage you or anybody else, man, it is all right to struggle. Yeah. It's okay for you to fall. And I just want you to, I hope that you get somebody that you can talk to and share your struggles with your life. There's a lot of people who will be delivered and helped if you just be honest and talk about what you're going through. The shame and the pain of what families have to experience in our absence is way worse than the shame that we feel by bringing this stuff out. And people would be so empowered. And I think more people would be surprised if they knew how much your church members, the people that are part of your faith, part of your church actually love you and will help you to get through what you're going through. And so church, be the type of members that allow your pastors to be human. Stop treating them like they don't ever have no problems. And that goes for their spouses, for their children. People got issues. And so I'm just happy.
And I think that's the blessed thing for at least me and maybe some other folks and pastors. Your wife is like, you need a good wife. You need a good woman. The man need a good woman. The woman need a good man. But for my perspective, this is needing a good wife. Yeah. Because you have to be able to, I think when you can't talk to nobody else, you should be able to talk to your wife. Sometimes there's something you can't put on her because it might overload her, but at the same time, she can be there, be a sort of strength for you and an encouragement and an uplift for you. And I know that's like with my wife. My wife, like a lot of times, feel like, hey, you need to come out more, talk to me more.
You got it, man. I love Sister Carol, man. And if you think about even in the book of Genesis, as we understand where creation was, and God is dealing with the original man on earth, and he's naming the animals and doing his thing, and it's like, man, like this ain't fulfilling me. I don't feel fulfilled doing this. And God said it's not good for a man to be alone. And so he created help meet.
That's right.
I didn't realize how important it was to translate that word right. A helpmate, right? A helpmate sounds like somebody who cleans up behind you, right? But if you look at the word it's help meet. If you look at it, MEET, a help suitable for the man. Exactly. In other words, what the animals were providing wasn't enough. And God said, we'll create woman to be in a help suitable. And so it's important that preachers have the opportunity to be honest. And when there's things that you can't share with your spouse, or if you're a single pastor, don't share your problems with no women, because then that's how you end up promiscuous, doing things you shouldn't. So members, be the type of members that your pastors can say something to. And to all the pastors out there struggling, I can say from the both of us, our hearts go out to you. And I'm a brother for you, for any other preachers that wants to be honest. I'll share something about myself so I ain't lying, because I don't play like that. So so
What time?
Yeah,
what time we got?
It's 20. It's 45 minutes. We got 15 minutes left.
Okay.
I want to talk about these Democratic debates that happened the other day, man.
Oh yeah, I didn't see them. You did, so I'm gonna have to piggyback off of you on that one.
I just want to say, what stood out to me the most, and the thing I think is going to cause the black communities.
Thank you, man. I'm glad you're bringing that out.
I mean, automatic. And brother,
just because he's vice president of
he was with Obama, brother. This dude said. So the issue of reparations came up straight up.
I saw a clip of that.
Straight up.
I don't know where I saw it.
The sister asked, "What are you going to do about it?" And she quoted Joe Biden back in the 70s when he said 40-some years ago. She said, "You said back then that you'll be damned," or something he was, and if you're gonna take responsibility for what your forefathers did, and so where are you at with it now? Man, this dude talked all around it. This man started talking about education. Once again, he started blaming black people for why we not further ahead. And it was like, dude, get out of here with that, man. Like, and he started talking about what I would do in education and whatever. And then this dude said,
somebody record.
Man, this dude.
You should at least say your iPod or something,
He said that
record player.
First of all, he said he made it like all black people were poor.
Exactly.
And then he was like, they need to listen to record players so that their kids can learn words. And it's like, man, black people raise their children and talk to their babies and stuff. What are you talking? We talking about what you're gonna do about all the wealth that 75% of white America owns. Like, what are we gonna do about that?
There, and he might have came from an old way of thinking, as far as record player, ancient way of thinking, I should say. But there are people, and I've heard black people say this in the sense, the deal with life, we got to start speaking to the baby when they won't. And I okay, that's fine. But right here, right now, we're in a present situation where we got to deal with some of these issues, you know what I mean? And we can't wait till a whole new generation, 21 years later, 30 years later, come on, we got to groom that generation, of course, because that is our future. But we got to address our present issues right now that can impact what's in the end, and a lot of times folks start skirting around stuff, but go ahead.
Yeah, no. And so we realize that abortion affects, is that what you talking? Are you speaking about abortion?
No, I was speaking about
the way our children form in the womb.
Yeah, and speaking to them and all that.
And there's something to be said about even a woman's health in the midst of when she's having a baby. And there's studies that show that stress and pressure in black women changes how out of touch. Yeah. And the ones who are speaking about reparations, at least, is not. What's the white lady?
Marianne Wilson?
No, she wasn't even there. She's gone.
Elizabeth Warren.
Elizabeth Warren. She spoke about it, and so. But I was disappointed. Julian Castro, that brother was well spoken. He smacked Joe Biden a little bit. I thought I was pretty impressed. That was the first actual debate that I was going to say debate that I've seen. Like kind of the whole thing, and I was really disappointed. I didn't even realize that Kamala Harris was even on the stage. I was like, how come she ain't said nothing for like the whole time? And somebody put her in the corner about being a prosecutor, and she didn't address the issues, man. Talk about how you was locking people up, man. And stop saying I became a prosecutor because I care about people. Nah, you was the enemy. You know what I'm saying? Ain't too many prosecutors that you can be like, hey, not too many prosecutors in the black community or whatever. You're locking black and brown people up. And she, so stop that. I just want to say this too, because I made a comment about her, and I want to reiterate this as much as we can. And that is, I said that Kamala Harris positions herself as if she's had the typical black experience in America. And someone says, what's the black? I said, but the issue with her is that she's the only black woman she's the first black woman in her whole family to ever live in America. Right. First black woman. So my aunties, my grandmother, your grandmother, your great grandmother, your great great grandmothers and grandparents, your aunties, the first one, she didn't have the experience that they had. Right. And they paid the price for her parents to come here, her black father with her Indian mother, Jamaican father, Indian mother. They both from wealthy families. They came here to go to school at UC Berkeley. I don't know too many American descendants of slaves that came here to go to Berkeley. Right.
Right.
They didn't come.
They're not going to be able to connect.
And so for her to position herself as if she has the typical Black experience is ludicrous. And it's important to note that, because when you start talking about ways that people get ahead, she can only speak from her experience. Right. She can only speak from, like, you know what I mean? And she doesn't have a legacy.
Right.
And it'd be difficult for her unless she puts people in her life that she's able to speak. People speaking differently about reparations if they really understood. That's how you know she don't really understand.
Right.
She has to pull yourself up by your own bootstraps mentality.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah, of course, because that's what life looks like for her. She came here. Her parents were driven. She knew she was going to college. She didn't wake up one day, first generation. You know, how many first generation college students do you know that are Black? A whole bunch of them. I know a whole bunch of people, first generation college students that are Black. Yeah. And I think it's important to note that. Right. One of these days, I want to bring my sister on the show, because she brought up a point to me that I think is worthy to note. And she was saying, you know, by me being mixed, Black and white, my father's Black, he's ADOS, my mother's white. She said, I grew up with a privilege that a lot of times I wouldn't even realize what it is. Don't even think about what it means to have a house full of books. I had a house full of books growing up. My mother read at least one novel every single week for as long as I knew her. We had hundreds of books in our house that had all been, my mother read to us. She spoke, you know, and stuff like that. She worked a lot. Like, we had a ton of dysfunction, but there's things that there are things that my sister brought up that we had that probably wouldn't have been typical to a Black family. And I think even those things need to be checked. All privilege needs to be checked. And I want to bring her on to be able to bring those things up, because I thought the points were really made a lot of sense to me. And I was like, wow, you know, I think I had to check. It's funny, man. And I hope, and Tom Lemon shares this story, publicly, but it's a good way for white people to get a chance to see kind of how privilege works without even thinking about it. And this was kind of an aha moment that I had when my sister was talking to me. But Tom was talking about growing up, and like, man, how, long story short, homework, and thank God for Tom for coming aboard and going the extra mile for everybody. But he said the first night when he came in last February, he said, I'm not coming to pick y'all up. If you want something, you got to do this. And nobody helped me and all this kind of stuff. And when there was a brother that was sitting in the back of the room that knew Tom, they was kids. And it was a brother. He said, hey, Tom, how you doing, man? I don't know if you remember me. I think this is kind of what he said, but he said, I used to be in the candy truck with you, man. I remember that, man. I'm glad that everything worked out for you in your life. And then Tom said, man, I just started remembering, you know, and he told his story about how people actually did help him and actually did come and take him places and do things for him and help him in his opportunities to be able to do things. And he said, man, he was telling me the other day, like, I just didn't think about XYZ, what he was telling me. He said, I was sitting there listening to so-and-so do so-and-so, and this came to my mind. And I was just like, man, and I think it's important to reflect and to not be so defensive and say, you ain't talking to me. And, you know, it's like, man, no, but it's to just be honest and reflect on what are the ways that maybe we have gotten something that somebody else didn't get. Maybe it is possible that you're getting something that you don't necessarily deserve. And so you shouldn't expect somebody else to have it just because you did, and you didn't get it because you're better than. You got it because you're in a different class, you're a different ethnicity, you grew up in a different area, you grew up in a different era. You know what I mean? For somebody 80 years old to have $100,000 in the bank and own 5 houses makes a lot of sense. But for you to expect as a 75-year-old that your grandchildren or great-grandchildren would own the same amount of properties, or great-great-grand, we're in a different frame. It didn't cost as much to buy houses back then. When you bought a house, you could work one job and own a house and get a couple of houses. So things are different now. And so I think that we have this boomer age. And as Antonia Moore says, boomer hooked, where you're married to a boomer or you're the child of a boomer. My children are in a different financial situation than other people, you know, and my children will be able to live off the wealth that I've accumulated simply because of the time that I bought my house and my wife having capitalized. Come on, man. Like, so it ain't because I'm better and I need to watch that kind of stuff. It's important. So, absolutely. So the debates were just crazy, man. This whole thing about, whether we're Democrat or Republican, I posted something earlier today. And I said, because the churches, white or black, ain't having these conversations, you're gonna have to listen to Killer Mike as he gives his opinion. But he talked about stop fighting over who has the best master. And he cusses a lot and said, but you know what? If the church ain't going to talk about it, don't get mad about how it's being said. You say it the way that it needs to be said, but you got to say it first. You can't wait for the world to say things and then you
No.
Yeah. Killer Mike said it. He said it with a bunch of F-bombs and everything. But guess what? It was still true. And the stuff he saw, I encourage everybody, if you haven't seen the thing on my post, to look at it. It's good. I ain't gonna say it. So Sister Tasha says, I'm so proud of you two and respect you both for your humility and courage to be real. I love your wives. They are amazingly real sisters. God gave you both good wives, powerful and courageous and loving.
Thank you,
I
Tasha.
agree. Thank you, Madam Mayor Tasha. We love you too. Appreciate you. Thank you for being real. And so, I don't know. What is it? How do you want to close out? What is something that you think what is something that's on your heart or whatever?
Well, we still have a lot of stuff going on. I know this week they're going to be doing something in Sacramento tomorrow in regards to Lincoln High. What happened with the game or whatever they're playing up there?
I don't even know what happened.
Yeah, there was a game on Friday, I believe, and some of the white folks in Sacramento was calling the Lincoln High students the N-word and things like that. They got really harassed. So something needs to be addressed about that. And it's supposed to be a press conference tomorrow morning. Yeah,
is doing something with Generation Justice.
They're going tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what that's about. Then on Tuesday, there's a press conference at 9:00 in the morning down at City Hall in regards to the spy cameras. Surveillance cameras. We say, but I call them spy.
No, they spy cameras.
Surveillance cameras. There'll be a press conference on that, and then going to City Council, I believe, at 10:00 to speak on it to make sure that there's accountability there and that they stop this. We don't need all these cameras. It's almost like they feel they can do whatever they want, and we'll be okay with it. And it all goes back to what you were saying in regards to the elections that are coming up. When we talk about looking at these various candidates and who we're going to vote for, and so on. Sometimes we just like with it's a shame. It shows you where we are as a people when nationally, when people are still saying Joe Biden. When with some of the stuff he said was just ridiculous and stupid. At least what I saw on the clip, on the clip when he was dressed talking about the record player and all this other kind of stuff. Like, man, and black folks voting for him. He got 40-something% of the support. That's a shame there. And so we got to start.
We need to burn down both the houses of Democrat and Republican. Come up with our own thing. We need to stop. Both of them.
And we have to hold our own people accountable, and those that that's running for office and so on, holding them accountable because they need to understand that they're not just going to get our vote because you're black either. You got to have, you got to be addressing some issues too and show that, you're concerned about the community, concerned about us, and especially as individuals. So I think some people play politics. And what I mean by that is from the perspective of what's popular to do, what's popular to say, what popular moves to make and things like that. And so one thing I say about Tasha, I appreciate her because she's going to hold her guns to who she is, but I'm just not going for it. So I'm, if you see about supporting somebody else, then that's why, because I'm not just going to support you just because, and yes, I take things personal, so that's kind of the way it is with me on some people and things like this. So we got, so with me, we got to really come together on our vote. I think we can have great impact locally on a lot of things, from the mayor to the county board of supervisors to people that's running for assembly and even, state, federal, for Congress and things like that. We can have impact, but I think locally is where it's going to really have the greatest impact, right? In dealing with some of the issues that we're dealing with and so on. So we got to really start getting more involved. The church. And I don't know, probably not a lot of church people on here probably is, but that's my experience and that's the lens that I speak from. So those are the people that I speak to. Speak to everyone, but specifically, I'm concerned about the church and what the pastors are telling these people and what are they doing, because from what it seems like, a lot of our pastors, and I think and this is where the problem we have, right? Even with the vote with Joe Biden, black people voting for him. Same thing in the church when you talk about pastors and what Tasha's talking about, making them gods. Folks are afraid to speak out and afraid to hold their pastors accountable for the corruption and for the political game that they're playing. If you're supporting a candidate just to get money, then you need to go to hell. And that's what I'm saying. You need to go to the lake of fire and burn forever. If you're going to sell God out and you're going to sell your people out for some money, if that's what you're making it about, who's most electable, and you're going to vote for that person because of that. And it's just disgusting. It's a shame. And it's a mess. And I get tired of it with our people on one side of the coin. Church folks, they talk like, you know, they want to hold everybody accountable. Well, hold your pastor accountable. You know, hold your community accountable. You know, and we always talk about the police and talking about the mayor, the governor, president, all that. But what about your pastor? You know, when are you going to start dealing with that? And so that's my closing thoughts on it. You know, if I talk too much more, I get in trouble. So
that's good. Well, let me just, and I'll just say, you know, I said, you know, and I agree. I want to just, I'll close with, you know, there's 8,000 cameras 8,000 lights that have these cameras that have been installed throughout San Diego. 4,500 of them, I think, have those nodes at the top that they're spying and listening. And one of the things that an article shared in here is that the mosques are being targeted with these cameras, and communities of color are being targeted with these. I need to do more research to see where they all are, but they are everywhere south of the 8. I mean, you can just look at these dots and they're just everywhere and they're activated. And
that's the end game right there.
And that's what September 17th, Tuesday at 9:15 down at City Hall. They're going to meet and have a press conference about that, because we have to begin to start saying two things. You're not going to come into the community and do whatever you want to do in our communities. And the second thing is we have to police our own communities. We have to hold each other accountable and do those kinds of things. And so that's what we'll do. But we don't have to allow the government to say and do whatever they want to do in our communities. We have a voice. We're not stupid. We've been progressing for many years now. And we will continue to do so. We have a lot of work to do, but a lot of work has been done. So I just want to say to the Black community, my heart is in love with you, Black people. I love you. Into the Black community, every ounce of my Black root, I'm learning to love more. I'm learning how to steward it better, and to champion it, and to stand up for it, to defend it. And it has been an absolute honor to understand that, how much love God has shown to Africa since the creation of the world. I posted, last thing I'll say, I posted on social media yesterday, I think it was, is Jesus's parents found safety in Egypt, not Europe. Have a good day.
Right. And you know,
and Egypt is in Africa.
What time is it? And
it's time to go.
My son,
it's an hour and 4 minutes.
My son Jay, and he's saying that his little sister on his mom's side, his little sister is a cheerleader for Lincoln. He said they called her a dog and said, "Why aren't you on a leash?"
See, come.
You know, so tomorrow, you know, 8:30 in the morning. I think Mika sent it. I was sitting at a press conference. Is that folks gonna be at San Clemente High, and so we all got to like band together and get out there and make a statement. But not only just make a statement, but we got to really hold these people accountable for what was said and what is done, and heads need to roll for that.
No question. No question. Wow. Read this last by Tasha. Thanks for participating, sis. We appreciate that. She says, somebody better reconcile with Bishop. I play no games in politics. There are people's lives at stake, and people will watch us be slaughtered while the tree is being prepared for them to be swung from. You know, what she's saying is, we talked about this the other day. People are sitting here and watch other Black people being hung, not knowing that they putting the next rope up for you.
Yeah.
You act like you commit, because you down there clapping, go, yeah, master. Okay, that's good. Then all of a sudden they're gonna pass you up. They're gonna put your neck right in that noose and break it, and hang you.
That's right.
As your first Black woman mayor, we will stop being in the business to monitor community members through lights. We will no longer make decisions without community members at the decision-making tables. Hashtag Tasha Williamson for mayor 2020. Vote woke.
What is her? Did she put her? Is that where people can go donate to? Because need to make sure. I don't know if you do it, but I know Facebook is kind of crazy. But
I'll get it out. She'll. If you can, sis, post your website. I think it's TashaWilliamsonForMayor.com, but I could be wrong. I'll have her post it down there so that we'll have it for sure.
Oh, okay.
But it's been real, you guys. We're at 1 minute and 5. We're at 1 hour and 5 minutes. We're over again, but it's all good. We ain't tripping. We went 1 minute and 8. At least
he talked the most.
Yeah. Hey, we love you.
I might have started out talking a lot.
No, it's good. No, it's good. And man, I think I can speak for the two of us. We love y'all. Thanks for anybody who stayed and watched. Those of you who will watch. Those of you caught a piece of it, who watched the last half. Whatever. Feel free to send suggestions of what you think should be different. And catch us next week, Lord willing, on Facebook at 7 o'clock for the Bishop and I.
Amen.
We're out of here like last year. Take care.